to Google Guardian's Online Learning Academy. This session is on how to use Google Slides with Miss Brianna Loop, who is amazing. She's from Livingston Parish Public Schools, and she is going to walk us through it. So I'm going to let you take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey guys, I just wanted to share a little bit with you about how to use Google Slides. I use Google Slides in my classroom probably every single day. And the whole point of me wanting to share this with you is in that unlikely event that we do have to go back virtual. We're really, really hoping that that doesn't happen. But this is the easiest way for teachers, in my opinion, to share assignments with students. But it's one of the programs that I feel like parents know the least about. And so I wanted to share with you like how to navigate Google Slides, how to turn in an assignment that they've been given in Google Slides. And so we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. So like I said, I'm Brianna Loop. I've been teaching for 12 years now, and I use technology all the time. So I feel very, very comfortable with it. And I know a lot about the Google Suite program. So I hope that you learn a little bit tonight. So here's what we're going to go over with you. I'm going to first tell you why teachers may choose to use Google Slides in their classroom. I'm then going to show you how to open an assignment that they've been given in Google Slides. Then I'm going to show you the tools. And this is probably going to be the most important part of this entire video, is to learn how to use the different tools that are available to you in Google Slides. And then finally, how to turn in an assignment that uses Google Slides. So this one kind of does overlap a little bit with the other session on how to turn in assignments in Google, but that's okay. I just wanted to make sure to cover that again. So like I said, the first thing I want to talk to you about is why Google Slides. So there are several different things that your teacher can use Google Slides for. You can actually put notes in there for the kids to fill out. You can make an entire interactive notebook for them to keep all of their, notes and important handouts in. You can have interactive worksheets, and I'm going to demonstrate some of these to you in just a minute, but these are handouts or charts or graphs or whatever that the kids can actually manipulate, and they can move pieces around and they can type into it. And it's actually very, very cool. The way and the amount of things that kids can manipulate these Google Slides. And so, like I said, I'll show you all that in just a minute. Google Slides is also my favorite. This is probably my favorite way that Google Slides is used. This is my favorite way for students to be able to collaborate with one another. And I'm going to show you why in just a second. They can also create virtual posters, which, hallelujah, if you're all parents, that's why you're here. No more poster boards. How many times have your children come to you at like 9 o'clock the night before a project is due and said, "Wait, I need a poster board for this project"? I hear it all the time from other parents, and it's happened to me before. And so I find that this is a much easier version of that kind of project. There's other things that your teachers might use with Google Slides, like games, and you can actually do it like flashcards where your kid can use it to study with. That's all more of things that your teacher might do in the classroom and teach the students how to do that in the classroom. Tonight, I really wanted to focus on the things that you would have to know as a parent at home to be able to help your child. Those other things are kind of fancy, and you might not ever have to deal with something like that at home. But I feel like these that I've listed for you are the things that you're going to see most often. So just a little bit about why teachers would choose to use these things. First of all, it's very, very difficult to lose a Google Slide presentation. Like, it's hard. Kids almost have to try to lose it because it is always, always, always in their drive. And once again, that was another session, I believe, that was offered on using Google Drive, but their work is always there. And there's also a way for them to see like version history. So if something happens and accidentally gets deleted, you can actually restore it from a previous version. So that's a major, major benefit to using Google Slides. They always, take the handouts, take the notes, take the instructions for the project and shove it in the book sack, and then it's never to be seen again. This is so easy. You can easily pull it up out of their drive and it's right there for them. Another reason why the teachers might use Google Slides is that it's fewer materials. Like I said, you don't have to have a poster. You don't have to have fancy markers to color things. You don't have to have pretty paper. You don't have to print out pictures. Because I know a lot of you don't have printers at home. I don't have a printer at home, to be completely honest. And so, when you did those poster projects, you were trying to figure out, how am I going to print out pictures? How am I going to make the words pretty? Like, it was very stressful, I know, for a lot of parents. And so when you already have this, device that's been issued by school, hopefully, all they have to do is open up a Google Slide. I'm going to show you how to do that. And they can start adding in stuff. And it's a really good way also for students to be able to express their creativity without having to have all these different materials and things like that. And finally, it is, like, most importantly, like I said at the very beginning, this is easy for virtual learners. So even if we don't end up going virtual, like I said, I hope we don't, but even if we don't end up going virtual, there are still kids that are going to be quarantined. There are kids that are just going to be absent. And by using Google Slides to transmit assignments, it kind of takes out that waiting period. And I'm going to say in the old days when a kid would miss school, they had to wait until they came back to school to get their assignments from the teacher. And if a kid misses a week, 2 weeks of school, they're coming back and they're having to get caught up on, 4 core classes plus electives for that entire time. That's a lot. That piles up. But by giving assignments in Google Slides and all the other technologies that we use, it makes it so easy for those kids that are having to do stuff virtually at home. It makes it easier for them to get their stuff done and get it turned in and to keep learning. Isn't that the most important thing? We want them to keep learning while they're at home. And I find that using Google Slides is the best way to do that. And even if we're not talking about quarantines and all that stuff, to be honest, I need a way to stay organized as a teacher. And so if this is all over soon, hopefully it's over soon, but a lot of paper stresses me out as a teacher. So your kids might have teachers that just prefer to give assignments through Google Slides because it does lead to a lot fewer papers coming across our desk. It's a lot less likely that, a paper gets misplaced or something like that. And then, like I said, going back to the first thing I talked about, it's very difficult to lose it. So, the kids, it's always there for them. They're not asking for extra copies. They're not freaking out when they get to home because they lost the instructions to the project. So anyway, moving on.
Hey, just to add to that. Oops, sorry, Brianna. Just to add to that, we're seeing more and more schools and even districts are going paperless. So they're sending this stuff home rather than sending home printouts and that kind of thing. So you're dead on, right on target. That's what a lot of classrooms are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying that it's been a long time coming for that because, like I said, the paper, not only is it, wasteful, I feel like at this point, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you're looking at the direction we're going with technology and in education and in the world. So you're absolutely right. This is something that I feel like we need to be prepared for. And so I'm so excited to get to share this with y'all. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to open assignments in Google Classroom. And this kind of is going to cross over with the previous slide. I'm going to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. I gave you all of these ways that teachers might give assignments in Google Slides. And so as I talk about the next 2 things, I'm going to show you some examples of those different assignments. So what I've done is I've created a fake classroom for the Google Guardians. And what I did is I added my daughter to it so I could use her account to show you how to access these materials. So once we are in that Google Classroom, I'm going to go to the classwork tab. And so I have several example assignments here for you to see. And so I'm just going to click on the top one. This is an example of an interactive worksheet. And remember, right now I'm focusing on how to open the assignment in Google Classroom. So I'm going to go ahead and click right here. It says Google Slides. I'm going to go ahead and click right there, and it's going to open in a new tab. So you can even go back, like maybe there's instructions right here that the teacher wants you to read. You can just switch back and forth between these two tabs. It is taking a little time today to load, so just be patient with me, please. This is one of my favorites. A lot of times the standards will ask students to be able to categorize or be able to classify. And so I like to use drag and drop assignments. And this is, kind of like, I guess, growing up where you would have maybe two things and you'd have to draw a line between the two of them. Or if you had a chart and you had to put like certain phrases like in a certain place on a chart, this makes it a lot easier, I feel like, for the kids. And so they would just read the definition of a physical change. And this is ideally something we would have already talked about in class, but I always put that there as just a reminder. So they have the definition here and they have the definition of chemical changes. And so then your student would look at this and think to themselves, all of these examples, they would think about which category it would fall under. So for example, melting ice. Looking at that, we know that it's not a new substance that's being made. So let's go ahead and drag it over here to that category. That's a physical change. Tearing paper, once again, a physical change. And so once they have all of their little boxes right here, it automatically saves it. That's the best part. Like they don't have to remember to go and click a button to save anything. It just automatically keeps track of everything. And when they're all completely finished, then they just turn in that assignment. So I'll show you how to do that in just a minute, but I just wanted to show you opening assignments. That's probably the easiest part. You just open it and they can just start going, dragging and dropping, and it automatically saves their work. So I can close out of it, and let's say I'm not finished with it and I want to come back later. All you do is you click on it again. And see, all my work is right there and I didn't have to do anything extra. So like if I started it at class and I need to finish it for homework, all I do is just open it up right here and it's all there for you. It's taking a while to load. But yeah, it's all there for you.
We all love the internet until it starts moving super slow.
It is. I'm sorry.
Hey, there's nothing you can do about it. We lost power earlier and I was crossing my fingers hoping everything would work. But here it is. It's popped right up with all of your work.
There it is. And so from there, I'm going to go ahead and move on to one of the other example assignments I was going to show you. This is one that this is how I'm going to show you. I'm sorry, I'm moving ahead a little bit in our little presentation. This is how I'm going to show you how to work the tools that you have at your disposal in Google Slides. So once again, we're going to click here and we're going to open this assignment. This is actually an assignment I gave to my kids last week on those first couple of days of school. I wanted to get to know the students a little bit. And like I said, this is a virtual poster. So instead of having to get that poster board and cut out a picture and glue on stuff and draw the letters real big, I gave them this assignment, and y'all, they all have pictures. They all love it. They love sitting there taking selfies and adding that in. And I asked them just for stuff like their favorite hobbies. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your friends. And so I do have a couple of slides with information, instructions. And so, like I said, this is always right there. It's not going anywhere. I told them, feel free to change the background, change the colors, fonts, etc. I told them to just have fun. And they really do. They enjoy getting in there and making it look good. Even those kids that you think, they don't like to color, they don't like to participate in school, I will watch them in here trying to pick like the perfect font and making it look good. And there's a time and place for that. Obviously, that's not something I'm really truly worried about in the middle of class, but it's something that they can do and make their own and express themselves, and they enjoy doing it. And it tells them what to do when they're done, and make sure to turn it in. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But like I said, I want to really quickly show you some of the tools that you have when working Google Classroom. And I actually do have a little cheat sheet for you. It is available to you in the Parent Resources tab. But I'm going to point out some of the tools right now. So first of all, when you want to add a new slide, like let's just say you want to, for whatever reason, your project might ask you to add a different slide or something, or maybe I wouldn't have given this blank slide and the kids would need to add a blank slide to get started on. This plus sign just automatically gives you another copy of like whatever slide you had before. So there's different formats in a Google slide. This one is just where it has a title and a place for you to add text. So because that was my last one right here, when I click insert, it's going to give me another one just like that. If I wanted to insert a different one, like a title or something, I can click up there and it gives me all different options. Now, obviously this one is a little fancy template that I have for you, but even if it didn't have this colorful background and stuff like that, there will still be layout options. Like if you want the kids to have like 3 different columns, or you wanted to have just, like I said, just a title, you can add different formats from that spot. These are very important, especially this one. This is the undo button. The kids, they all the time are accidentally hitting delete. So like, let's say I somehow accidentally delete this. Maybe they were trying to delete another slide and they accidentally deleted that one. That's where you can go to get it back. This button is very, very important, the zoom button, because sometimes, and I'm going to show you in a little bit an example of this, but sometimes the original file is going to come up and it's going to be very, very small. And if you're like me and you have a hard time reading very tiny text, this is for you. You would click right there to zoom it in and make it a little bit bigger to read. So you can zoom it in like 200%, or you could even type in and make it 150%, but that's the way that you make it bigger and smaller. And then I can zoom it back out. Okay. Now, the next button that's going to be super important for you is this text box button. This slide, because it was a preloaded layout, it is already there for you, but I'm just going to delete them really quickly to show you how you would add in your own text. And the great thing about Google Slides is you can add a text box literally anywhere, and you can just type in it. I'm just going to type my name really quick for you, and I'm going to show you all the things that we can do with that text box in a second. But if you saw what I just did there, to move it around, you just click, you wait until it shows up as a, what is that thing called? I forgot. Crosshairs. There you go, with the arrows on it. And you hover it over any of the lines right here, and you can move it wherever you want it to go. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. I'm going to show you that in just a second. You can also take this little circle up here and wait for the crosshairs to come up, and you can even rotate it if you want it to be at an angle or something fun like that. So that's text box, and remember, we click on that T in order to insert text box. Like if I want to insert another one, I can put another one right here, and I can say, welcome to science class. Okay. From there, I'm going to show you when you click on your text box, you have all these options that pop up right here. And this is what makes it fun, because now you have just regular text. And honestly, that's kind of small. I'm going to tell you how to change the font, make it bigger, make it bold, make it underline, etc. So when you look up at these options, so if I click off the textbook, you see they've gone away because they're only going to show up when you are on a text box. Right here, we can change the font. And the great thing about Google Slides is you can download pretty much as many fonts as you want. You don't have to actually download them to the computer. You just click right here and you add the ones that you want to show up in this menu, and they're there. But let's say I want to change it to this font. There we go. It's a cute little fun font, but that's still kind of small and kind of hard to read. So we're going to look at this button right here. There are certain increments that it will go up if you click the increase or the decrease button. So it's 14 right now. I can go up to 15, then it goes to 16. It can keep going up. I think it maybe just to 1. But if I click, it gives me all these other options. So I wouldn't want to click that until I got to 72. I would just click that pull down menu and I'd go to 72 and then look, it's real big. But remember when I first had the text box, when I first pulled the text box up, I told you you could make it bigger. You could change the shape of it. So here's where I'm going to show you how to do that. When I made my font bigger, it kind of distorted my text box a little bit. That's where you're going to click on these little squares right here. And you can expand the text box so that your text fits all on one line. And then once again, I could move it wherever I wanted to put it. But that's how you would do that. You click these boxes. You can either do it horizontally, or you could do it vertically, or you could do it where the whole thing gets bigger. It's not letting me do that right now because the font is the size it is, but I'll show you why that would be important in just a second. Here's where you make it bold, italic, or underline. So you can add something right there. This is where the kids really love it. And remember, I know I'm going kind of fast through this, but remember I have a cheat sheet for you with all of this labeled on it. So that's available in the Parent Resources tab. This is the one that the kids love. They love changing the font color. So you would just make sure that the text box is highlighted and you click that A button with the black underneath it, and you can change it to whatever color you want to change it. There's a ton of colors to choose from. This is the one that matches my theme. Oops. You do have to highlight your text. I always forget to do that. You do have to highlight your text and then you click the color and there you go. Okay. Continuing down the line, this is where you can highlight things. So this is especially important if you're giving kids, or if the teacher is giving kids notes and they want to highlight things in those notes. You can, once again, take your cursor and highlight your text and then click the highlighter button and you can pick a color for it to highlight. So like I said, that is perfect for taking notes or things like that, or just calling attention to a certain piece of text. Okay. Yes, mine too. That is, we are forever like highlighting in the text, like to show evidence or whatever else.
It's so good because so many of these standardized tests at the end of the year and the unit test ask for find the evidence. And the easiest way to do that is to be able to highlight that text. So that's a really good tip that you definitely want to make sure you remember how to do.
Yes, absolutely. And that's going to be true even in like Google Docs and things like that. That is not specific to Google Slides. So this little toolbar, you will see that again in Google Docs. So absolutely remember how to do those things. All right. So the next couple of things, like that's kind of advanced, like if your teacher wants them to link to another website or something like that. But to be honest, that's not really something I do with my students a whole lot. But if you did want to link this to something, you could click right there and you could type in like the website that you want it to go to. And then whenever you click that, it'll bring you to another website. You kids can add comments, and I'm going to show you that more in another assignment that I have for you. This is where you can change, you can make it centered, you can make it go to the left. Like I said, it moves it to the center. You can change it to be at the top of your text box, in the middle of your text box, or at the bottom of your text box. This is where if you have multiple lines of text, you can change the spacing. So if you want to spread it out, you can double space it. Or you can custom space it. Right here is where you add bullet points. So once again, if you're like taking notes or something and you want to add a bullet point or you want to add a numbered list, see, I just clicked it and it automatically started numbering right here. And this is where it gets a little crazy. So just bear with me for a second. If you click on format options, And this is where the kids love it. They especially love this feature where it says drop shadow. If you turn it on, it kind of makes, I don't know if you saw it on the highlighting, it kind of made a little shadow appear. If I unclick it, you see it went away. They like to do that on the text, like when they're making a title or a heading, it kind of just makes it pop out. And once again, not required, but it's just something the kids have fun with. All right, so that is how you add text. This is where we're going to start talking about adding pictures. This little button right here, this is where you go to insert an image. And this has lots of options. You can either do one that you already have on your computer, but I find with like these loaner devices, kids don't usually have a lot of pictures that are on the computer, so they don't use this one too much. This is the one that they use the most, searching the web. If you click that, you can search for anything. So if you want to put in a picture of a dog. Oh, look how cute. We can go ahead and click it and we can drag it in, and it's that easy. Okay. The same way that we resized our text box is how we're going to resize this image. So let's just say I don't want it that big. I want it to be a little bit smaller. I'd come over here to this little box, the little blue box, and I would just shrink it a little bit. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but Google Slides has this really cool feature. I really love this feature. It will show you where the image is centered on the screen, because some of you have students. I was this kind of student when I was in school. I liked everything to be precise. I liked it all to be exactly centered. I would measure everything. I wanted everything to be perfect. Well, this does that for you. If you just kind of move it back and forth, that little red line pops up, and there, it's centered. There's a couple of other ways to do that too, but I find that's easier. If I wanted to center it, like put it directly in the middle of the slide, see, I just moved it around until I saw the two red lines pop up. It's automatically centered in the middle of your slide. So that's how you put in a picture from using this search option. They also can insert pictures from their drive. And I do have a graphic that I can share later, but there is an option, like if they have a picture on their phone that they want to include in their presentation, there is a way for you to pull that image up on your phone. And just like you would put it in a text message to somebody, like when you click on the bottom and all your apps show up at the bottom, you can scroll through your apps, and there should be one for Google Drive if you have Google Drive downloaded on your phone. And you can put a picture in your drive from your phone, and then they can go click right here, and any picture that's in their Google Drive is right there. That one's a really easy one to use. We don't really use these two a whole lot, but they do use this camera one. So like I said, for this All About Me project, they had to have a picture of themselves. So what they did is in class, if they didn't already have a picture like on their phone or something they wanted to send to themselves, they would open this directly in the slides, and they would take a picture of themselves, like, being silly or whatever, and it would insert it directly in there. All right, so I did show you right here where it said search the web, okay? But I did want to point out really quickly that this is very limited. It doesn't give you near as many options as you would get if you went and did a Google image search. So if, let's say, they're not finding what they want on that built-in feature, remember I went here and I found search the web. If they're not getting quite what they want, they can go to do a Google image search. Let's say I want to do a dog. It's auto-completing. And they can go to images. And they can then copy and paste images from this into their slides. So like, let's say I want this picture. They can right click it and go down to copy image. And then you can come back to the slide and you would right click again, or there's shortcuts. I know Miss Lauren showed y'all some shortcuts. There are shortcuts for that. But the kids usually just right click a lot of times. So right click and then they paste it in, and there's another picture. So just two different options to find images from Google. One is the built-in option, and one is just going to do a Google image search. The next thing I want to show you, besides inserting images, is how to put in a shape. Right here, it's like a circle and a square behind it. You can input all kinds of shapes. They have squares, circles, like banners, arrows. There's little like comic book call out things, and then math, like equation symbols and things like that. Then you have this one, which draws lines. If you want to input a line, you can click the kind of line that you want, and just you click and drag your mouse and then let go, and you have a line. And then you can change that line. You can make it shorter. You can change the direction. That's helpful. I've done it before where I did want them to like match two pictures or something, but I didn't necessarily want them dragging all over the place. They can draw a line between the two. Here's the one that they also spend a lot of time on. They change the font, they change the font color, and they also like to change the background. So when you click background, you get some options right here. Now I have a theme on mine, so I need to see if it'll let me. If not, I can show you in another one later, but you can pick either a solid color. You can click gradient, which means it will like change from like light to dark or whatever. Let's just say I want to make it all this light pink color. See, there it goes. It did. It made my whole background change to that pink color. You can also choose an image. And once again, when you click on this, it's going to give you options for your image. It's the same options that we had before. You can either upload from your computer, you can use the built-in camera on your computer, you can use the photos that are built in on the computer. Like it'll search for all, there you go. It'll search for all the photos on your account. I don't have any on this account. You can go to Google Drive, and then once again, you can do your Google image search, and you can pick a different picture to be your background. So if I want to pretty sky picture or something like that. So there you go. So that made my background a different image.
I'm a huge fan of playing
the other stuff.
Oops, sorry, Bree.
No, go ahead.
For backgrounds, sometimes you can just type in, like when you're searching cool backgrounds, and there's all kinds of neat stuff that the kids can use. I know lots of teachers use the backgrounds to create virtual classrooms and other stuff. So your kids, there's a lot of fun to be had searching for those backgrounds.
Yeah, if you're not careful, they will spend way too much time searching for those backgrounds. But like I said, as long as they're doing their actual content work and they have like extra time, or if they want to work on this at home just because, I tell them go for it. They love spending time to design it. All right, so these other things here are not really things that they're going to have to mess with too much in my experience. This is honestly more for people that are giving presentations, not so much for kids working in a classroom, I have found. So like I said, I just wanted to show you really quickly that cheat. I do have a cheat sheet. That's what I was saying. And I wanted to show that to you really, really quickly. So that just gives you like the importance, that stuff at the important stuff at the top that I was telling you about. So it has all the important buttons, how to insert a new slide, all that stuff. The little paint can allows you to change colors of the shape. The little pencil lets you change the outline of a shape, the color of the outline of shape. And then this is your basic text bar with your font size, bold, italic. So you can keep this, save it to your computer, save it, take a screenshot of it on your phone, keep this handy because that's going to be all the stuff that's going to help you out with that. Another thing that I told you that Google Slides was helpful for was the collaboration. And so I really quickly want to show you how I use Google Slides for students to be able to collaborate with one another. So I have this example of a project I gave last year. I wanted each group to research a human body system. And what you can do is you can assign this to students and assign a group leader. Or this is just how I'm doing it, but I'm just saying, like, this is amazing, y'all, really and truly. You assign a group leader, and then that group leader would share this presentation with everybody else in their group, and then they can all edit at the same time. So this was especially helpful for us last year. If you remember, at the beginning of the school year, we were all in our straight rows in our desks, and a lot of the kids at first last year, when we started wearing the masks, they didn't want to talk a whole lot. They weren't used to it. And so it was really hard to get them discussing things with their group members. And so this was a really good opportunity to allow them to work on stuff together without physically being next to one another. So this is really great. Like, if you have a kid that is quarantined for 2 weeks, but you have a group project, they can work on it from home. All you have to do is the kids, they will be shown this in class. Most of them, if they've been using Google Classroom, they know how to do this by now. You go up here to this share button right here, and you can pick other students to share it with. You type in their name, and it sends them a link, and it shows up in the Google Drive of whoever they're inviting, and they just click the presentation. And once everybody has it open at the same time, you can all be adding to it at the same time. And like I said, the teacher puts all of the requirements in here, tells you what needs to, or in my case, I said what I wanted on each slide. And I even gave a reminder of how to share that. I'm trying to find that right now. Yes. So I gave instructions on how the group leader was to share that project with the other people in their group. I told group members how to go in and access their presentation. Like I said, it just popped up in their drive, in their recent files, and they just clicked it and it came up and they were able to start working on it. It gives I'm sorry. I want to say that for later. I'm sorry. So like I said, they're all able to edit the presentation at the same time. And then there were other things that I wanted them to do there. The thing about it is, I have found it's easier, like I said, to have a group leader, because then you have one person submitting the whole project for everyone, instead of having the same project being submitted 4 times or 5 times, or however many people you have in a group. And so I did find, as a teacher, it was important for me to look and make sure that everybody had their name on it somewhere, and that group leader really did turn it in for the group. So as a parent, here's what I'm telling you. If you have something like this and your child is saying they worked on it with another group member, they should be able to pull it up and show you all of the work that they did. They can pull this assignment up and they can say, I had to do this slide. They can show you the slide that they were responsible for. And then it can be submitted. If there's ever a question with it not being submitted or something like that, that's the really great thing about the drive. The teacher can go into the drive at any point, and whether they've turned it in or not, the teacher can see what work has been done. So let's just say little Johnny was the group leader and didn't turn in the presentation, but Jenny is worried because she did all of her work. I can go in at any time and I can pull their project up through Google Drive, and I can see exactly the work that Jenny did, and I can give her credit. And then if there's somebody else that didn't do their part, they obviously would get docked points. So it's just a really great way for students to be able to do stuff together. They can even leave comments on there. So if you do have somebody that's at home in quarantine and maybe they're not working on their school stuff until 7:00 at night, the other kids are not currently working, they can put a little comment, and I'll show you how to do that on this other assignment that I'm going to show you. Or I'm just going to pull up the one we just did. They can leave little comments for each other, like, hey, can you make sure that you add this to your slide to make sure we have everything? And that is a really, really great way for them to communicate. And yes, I see the comment. It's so important for kids that are anxious about group work. Yes, I have kids that participate with this that never would speak up for themselves if we were actually doing a group poster or something like that. So just a real quick, once it loads. And I know I'm going kind of long, y'all, but there's so many awesome things that you can do with Google Slides, and I get so excited about it. So I'm sorry. This little
Google
plus sign
Slides
right here.
It's hands down my favorite. Sorry, Bree.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say reiterate what you said. Google Slides, there's so much you can do with it. It is my absolute favorite Google thing, period. I use it for almost everything. It's my favorite.
So yeah, I mean, I do. I use it every single day. So yeah, you add a little comment, and then that way the next time somebody logs onto the project, they'll see that comment and they'll fix the slide, or they'll do whatever. Or, hey, so-and-so, you did a really great job on this slide. I love to see kids saying stuff like that to each other. And guess what? I can see every one of these. So if it's ever like not appropriate or something, I can go in there and delete it. I've never had that issue, to be completely honest. Because they know that I can see that. And so they don't ever do anything crazy with it. But great way for kids to communicate. They love it. And like I said, even kids that are shy or wouldn't speak up for themselves, they'll stick a comment in a heartbeat. So just wanted to point that out to you. The very last thing I wanted to show you is so cool. This is how they would do notes or keep an interactive notebook. So slow, I'm sorry. This is one that I had made strictly for this. I just wanted to show you an example. Okay, so here is their notebook that the teacher would share with the student. And they have these little tabs over here on the side. If you click on the tabs, it'll bring you to a certain section of the notebook. And there's actually a table of contents. It's being so slow, but there's a table of contents too. There it is. Sorry, I have to be in present mode. I'm so sorry. So like, let's say a kid's going to study for their test. I'm so sorry, y'all. This is crazy. Okay, there we go. And let's just say I want to go to this first section. If they were in class, they would type into all of these boxes. So theoretically, if they're going to study for their test, this would all be filled out. Okay, I put in little spots for them to be able to type in the blanks, whatever. And so in this one section, they might have more than one page. So you would click down here and look. Now we have examples of the types of heat transfer, and then the kids in class would put pictures of their own examples like in this box right here. And that's something we would discuss at a class. Like I said, this is perfect to be able to come back later and study. And like I said, this doesn't get lost. This is in their Google Drive. They can't leave their notebook on the bus. They can't leave it in the classroom so they don't have anything to study when they get home. This is in their Google Drive, and it's there like for forever, unless it's almost like they have to purposely go in there and delete something. It's not just going to accidentally get deleted. So I'll just show you how kids would go in and take notes. I'll tell you how I did it last year when we were doing our hybrid schedule. What I would do is I would film myself like speaking to the students, and I would post that video along with these notes, and the kids at home would just watch the video and they would fill in the notes as we went. Obviously, the kids that were in class would just have this pulled up on their computer while we were discussing in class. And then every time they would come to a spot where there's a blank, you would just click the text box. That's the same text box that I showed you how to complete up here. You would just click right there. You would highlight those words that are there, and you click backspace, and you can type in a word. I'm not sure what's supposed to go there. I forgot. Or I can't see it. But yeah, you would just type in your word. And then when you're done, it's all filled out. And like I said, they can access that later to study at home. And then you can click through the little tabs. So let's say we've done the whole unit. Each one of these tabs would theoretically go to a separate section. So your kid could open this up at home and say, oh, I need help with this particular topic, and they can jump straight to that section. So I just wanted to show you how a teacher might use this to keep the students' notes together and keep them organized. Like I said, some students would just choose to have stuff on paper, And that's fine. I do still print out like paper copies for those that would just rather write, but I'm telling you, the vast majority of them, this is the way to go. Because like I said, it's so much easier. They don't lose it. It's always there. So going back here, just to make sure that I've done everything I wanted to do. We talked about the cheat sheet. So finally, last thing, how to turn in an assignment that uses Google Slides. And like I said, there was already a session, I believe, on this, or there is one coming up on how to do exactly this, how to turn in assignments, but I just wanted to point it out one more time. So let's just say I did my All About Me virtual poster and I want to turn it in. The student would then click View Assignment. And the presentation or the slide that they've been working on is already attached. It has their work there. It's already saved. They don't have to do anything. All they would have to do is click that blue turn in button, and that's it. There's no, I know in a classroom, a lot of times it gets confusing because you're like, put your finished product in this basket, but then they go to another class and that teacher has something totally different for how to turn in work. With Google, that it's the same every time. Their assignment is right there. They click turn in. Now, I really quickly, I know I'm, like I said, I'm going long, but really quickly, I'm going to show you one other thing. If something happens and their work is not right there, because, you know, kids, they accidentally click things and whatever, let's just pretend it's gone. They can go to this add or create button and they can go back and find it in their Google Drive. And it should, if they've been recently working on it, it should show up in their recent folder. So I think it's this one, pretty sure. And then it's back right there for you. Okay, so it's really, really easy to turn stuff in. And then you would just click that turn in button and you would just verify turn in. And then you're done. It's been turned in. And it'll say turned in. If it's past this is in the other session, I know, but if it's past the due date and you turn it, it'll say done late. It's just good to know. Okay. So I believe that was everything. I did want to close with this. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to say something?
Nope, I'm watching.
Okay.
You're great.
Okay. I did really just want to close with this because this is something I'm passionate about. Technology in the classroom is not the end goal. So using all this stuff, using the computers, like that's not the end goal. Enabling learning everywhere is the goal. Whether that means on the couch at home because they're in quarantine for 2 weeks. Maybe it's, you know, at grandma's house because somebody at home has COVID and the kid has to go somewhere else. Maybe if you have to move in the middle of a school year and you go to a different school system and they have Google Classroom, well, guess what? They know how to use all of this stuff. And so incorporating technology, if that's what it takes for our kids to be successful in this crazy world we're living in right now, then it's something we need to embrace. And like I said, I am very, very passionate about that. And I really, really feel like Google Slides is one of the best ways to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you say that. Technology is just a tool. It is not the end all be all of education. Right. And a lot of people get that confused. This is a tool, not the end goal. I love that.
Right.
Questions have been answered in the chat. You have done amazing. The cheat sheet was a huge hit. Lots of people are very excited about the cheat sheet, and it's so simple and cute and easy to look at. So you did an amazing job. Up next, we have, let's see. Coming up, we have using Google Forms. So how to take those quizzes, how to do those surveys. So that's in the next session. We hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much for tuning in.